Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather. In this update, we've got multiple storm systems coming in over the next 7 to 10 days. Will bring several snowstorms, severe weather, followed by an Arctic blast on the backside heading into next week. So let's take a look at the overall water vapor imagery this morning. You can see a steady stream of moisture coming in off an active subtropical jet stream in the week ahead, bringing some heavier rains to portions of the deep south, while we have multiple systems coming in off the west coast as well. That'll keep the rain chances aligned along the coastlines here and the snow chances alive around the Intermountain West. And we've got several opportunities for snowstorms further to the north, while out here in the open waters of the Atlantic, that we have another potential tropical storm, believe it or not. This actually has a 50% chance of developing over the next couple of days into a subtropical type storm. If it does get named, it will take the name of Owen. We've had actually 10 named tropical storms in the month of December, so although it is rare, it can happen. But luckily, this will be heading out into the open waters and not be affected by anybody if it gets named or not. But temperatures this morning are plenty warm further to the south, and they're going to remain warm for really the week ahead, while much of the Arctic air is really trapped and building to the north. But look at those temperatures. Woo, these are real-time temperatures, folks. That is 26 below zero up in Canada. How about 32 below zero? So yeah, that is some definitely cold stuff along the west coast. Plenty of colder air with the multiple troughs that's going to be coming in. But we've got several storm systems that we have to be worried about. So if you are new to the channel and you do like detailed weather breakdowns on North America, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, because I do daily updates on this channel to keep you well ahead of the storm. And it's important to hit the like button as well. It definitely helps more than you know. So let's really delve into the details and really break this thing down for you, because further to the south, we're going to have more or less a stalled frontal boundary with that active subtropical jet coming in. That's going to bring increased rain chances for portions of North Texas. That'll filter into portions of Arkansas, heading through this sector, through the Tennessee Valley. We did have some kind of wet streets, kind of slick streets this morning up into upstate New York. But we have like sporadic light showers into portions of the mid-Atlantic, while we have kind of drying out, at least for today, for the Pacific Northwest. But further to the south, we are going to have at least opportunities in central and southern California for some increased rain showers later on this afternoon. And then we'll have a swath of snow that's going to be pulling through portions of Montana as well as of the Dakotas, filtering in into portions of Minnesota. So as we go into tomorrow, there's that stalled frontal boundary. We'll have increased rain chances just to the north of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, headed into Oklahoma through Arkansas here. But it's right along this boundary here where we'll have some instability, and it remains kind of unsettled with increased rain chances, as we'll be watching yet another system trying to come in off the Pacific Northwest with more reinforcing shots of rain on the coastal regions back through Washington and Oregon, all the way through northern parts of California. Then we'll have increased heavier snows again into portions of the Intermountain West, especially the mountain regions. And that'll filter in into portions of Idaho, as we'll be watching. Yes, we'll have two fronts. That's your stalled frontal boundary. Will be kind of meandering back and forth. That's why we have such increased rain amounts, and could be looking at even some possibly flooding concerns in portions of Tennessee, especially for the next couple of days. But further to the north, we'll have the beginning stages of our first snowstorm that we're going to be highlighting. It's going to start off as some icy slick streets into portions of Nebraska to the north of there. It'll change over to all snow during the afternoon hours into Nebraska, through Iowa, and to portions of southern Minnesota, as we'll be watching this next storm system come across. So if you take a look at some of the ensemble member guidance, this is the European ensembles to kind of give you an idea where this snow swath is really going to be. This first initial snows are going to be starting on the 8th through the 9th and ending by Saturday morning, but it should put a healthy dose in of snow right along this boundary in the northern portions of Illinois, just north of Indiana, northern portions of Ohio, but especially into Iowa, Minnesota, back through Wisconsin here. And this will fishtail down into portions of Pennsylvania because it's going to be feeling the effects of this negative NAO, as this will definitely drop, kind of traversing along this baseline and then trying to drop south with this low pressure center off the East Coast. And if you take a look at the overall Canadian ensembles, kind of implying the same way. So this is your first snowstorm, but that will be coming across up here into the upper Midwest, through the upper Great Lakes, through portions of the Mid-Atlantic, through starting on Thursday and ending by Saturday morning. But there's plenty of snow back behind that, because we have another storm system coming in off the West Coast, but again, increased rain chances for them along the coastlines here into Seattle and back into Portland, back into portions of San Jose and Northern California. Plenty of snow for the Sierra Nevadas. They already picked up 2 feet just in the last week, and they've got another 2 feet on the table in the week ahead. So definitely some healthy snows up there, but we'll have another disturbance further to the south in Texas, back in Oklahoma, that will come in by Saturday morning, as that snowstorm will be winding itself down into portions of Pennsylvania. But on Sunday, we have to take a look at our next system that is developing, because we have another significant trough that's going to be coming in off the backside, off the West Coast. That's going to spell trouble, because for the entire week, we're going to be plenty warm down here further to the deep south. We've got the blocking mechanism happening up here to this high latitude blocking up in Greenland. And that's going to spell trouble, with plenty of snow to the north, and even some severe weather going to be breaking out by early next week for the deep south. And much colder air is going to be coming in on the backside of that next system. So by Sunday, here's the setup. So it'll be ending. The rain will be ending in Texas and Oklahoma. We'll be pushing out into portions of Louisiana, back into Arkansas, through Mississippi and Alabama, as we have that trough really starting to filter in on the backside. That, again, increased rain chances for much of California there, at least gives you the opportunities. That snow creeps into Nevada and back into Utah here. That'll eventually head into portions of Colorado, getting into Wyoming there on Sunday. So overall, here's your temperature map for the next 6-7 days. Predominantly, you'll be well above average further down to the deep south. You'll remain in the warm sector. You'll remain on the cool side out here off the West Coast and our northern regions, but especially up into Canada. But as you stay in that warm sector all week, that's going to spell trouble, because yes, we have another significant trough that's going to be diving in. Look at the jet stream really starting to dig. This pulls into a negatively tilted trough. That spells trouble. You've got the 850 low pressure center setting up in Nebraska with heavier snows filtering on the northwest side of there. And you'll be warm all week, tapping into this great lift that's going to be taking place with this negatively tilted trough. That's going to spell trouble in the form of severe storms. Especially look at the warm sector that's going to be tapping into by the time we get into Monday night, guys. So this is, you're talking 70-degree dew points down here, upper 60s, right? Look at on the backside, you got almost single-digit dew points. That's an indication of a very strong Arctic front. So this is a very dynamic, another dynamic system that's coming in from the west to the east, tapping into this warm sector. So it's going to be a very active week heading into the next week, with several days probably of severe storms for the deep south, and then heavier snows to the north. And then that Arctic air will really plunge on the backside with the coldest temperatures of the season. But out ahead of it, we got to be concerned, because again, here we go again, guys, with another day 7 slight risk for severe storms. If you recall, back November 4th, we had a 7-day outlook of a slight risk that ended up in a tornado outbreak. Back on November 29th, 30th, again, we had prior to that 7-day outlook, slight risk. That ended up with being another tornado outbreak. So this is definitely concerning that we have another slight risk 7 days out. We'll be tapping into the same general type of dynamics with a low-level jet, a very active, a negatively tilted trough, tapping into that warm sector. That's going to spell trouble with probably 2 days of severe storms that we have to be concerned about for the deep south. So further to the north, here's your setup. So as we get into Monday nights, we'll still be, kind of fine tuning this as the week goes on, but there's your low pressure center hanging out in Nebraska. Further to the south, there's that squall line that's going to be breaking out in the form of severe storms. But the heavier snows, I mean, look at the tight isobars that are really going to be tightened up. That's an indication of some very high winds going to be cranking with this system, blowing and drifting snow back into the Dakotas, into Wyoming, into Montana, back through North Dakota, as the freezing line is draped across here with this red line right here, with colder Arctic air filtering in from the west. So going into the Canadian view, that snowstorm brings it possibly a little bit further to the south, but more or less there's your warm sector further to the south of that squall line in the form of possibly all 3 modes of severe storms by then, heading into Monday night, going into Tuesday timeframe to the north. The northwest side of there's an indication some very heavy snow will be breaking out into Nebraska, through portions of Iowa, getting into Minnesota. This could filter into Wisconsin, heading into portions of Illinois, and this will swing across the Ohio Valley and have a good snow swath with it. On the backside through Iowa, portions, possibly northern portions of Illinois, northern portions of Indiana, northern portions of Ohio again, back into Pennsylvania. There's your warm sector. The beginning stages does have some icy, slick streets with it, with that rain probably by then on the south side. But I'm looking at possibly Monday night heading into Tuesday. So it's probably a 2-day event with severe storms for the deep south. So we'll basically have to be worried about essentially Oklahoma, Texas, all the way into the southeast through Dixie Alley is the highest concern for those severe storms heading into Monday and Tuesday of next week. But it's all snow on our northern side, because look at the blue there. There's their 1040 Arctic high pressure. That's an indication that's true Arctic air going to be filtering in on the backside as everything turns much colder as we get past this initial setup. But we have a lot of severe storms we're going to have to be concerned about heading into Monday and Tuesday, with the heavier snow is going to be filtering into the mid-Atlantic by then as we go into Wednesday. So, but there's your Arctic air going to be filtering on the backside. So by the time we get into the middle of the next week, that colder air should plunge off the west through our central states and continue through the from west to east kind of all week long. And if we take it a step further and kind of look at some of the temperatures right now, I mean, again, this is kind of a long ways out, but just kind of gives you an idea of some of the cold air with the blocking that we've been highlighting on this channel for a while now. With the polar vortex getting disrupted, we'll really start to feel the effects. That barrier breaks, the southeast ridge really starts to fade, and the Arctic air wins out. So definitely the coldest temperatures of the season will be filtering in on the backside, and I just feel it just gets even colder after that. So the second half of December definitely looks cold, because if we take it a step further and take a look at some of these ensemble guidance for the European guidance going through, say, the 19th of December. So everybody gets in the action by then, with all the Arctic air plunging all the way down into the deep south, into the southeast, even into Florida. Even Florida gets it by then. So no one's going to miss out on this. Where you actually maybe kind of stay a little bit warmer on the warmer side is up here towards northern New England and northern Maine, with this negative NAO that does look to retrograde. So this is an area that might be possibly above average, but basically, basically everybody else is going to be well below average for that time of year. And if we take it a step further, there's Christmas week. Everybody's like, hey, Christmas coming up. What's it going to be like? Well, this is just kind of a long range out, but just kind of gives you an idea. This is the latest European weeklies, right? So this is from the 18th through the 25th, and all that colder air, once it gets going, because we have that blocking setting up to the north, it creates the funnel effect, and that should filter in on all the colder air. It's going to definitely feel a lot like Christmas for a majority of the lower 48 for this upcoming Christmas. So here's your overall precipitation. So I looked at the blend, kind of the model blend, to kind of give you a summary of where the heavier amounts are going to fall over the course of the next 7 to 10 days. There's your swath with multiple troughs coming in off the west coast, within portions of the Pacific Northwest and Northern California with those heavier rains. And then there's the heavier rains that really extend basically just kind of North Texas northward through Oklahoma, but especially in Arkansas, the Tennessee Valley, through Kentucky. I mean, look at all the reds here. That's plenty of precipitation with those multiple storms, snowstorms that are coming in, and then heavier rains further to the south. There's your snow swath on the latest Canadian ensemble guidance from those multiple snowstorms that come in. So it kind of gives you an idea of where the snow is going to be falling over the next 7 to 10 days. And there's your European ensembles as well. Kind of highlights these same general areas where they're going to get the heavier snows to the north, and then we'll have to be concerned about some heavier rains to the south, and even some severe storms further to the south in the deep south through the southeast into Monday into Tuesday of next week. So hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.